Most modern democratic leaders serve 4 years. 8, if they are lucky. These rulers held continuous power for more than 60, some for more than 70, one for over 80 years on a single throne. These are the most remarkable feats of dynastic survival ever documented. Monarchs whose reigns spanned entire transformations of their nations and the world, counting down the 10 longest verified reigns in recorded human history. Number 10. King Sobhuza II of Swaziland. Reigned from the 10th of December 1899 to the 21st of August 1982. A total of 82 years and 8 months. Sobhuza succeeded his father at the age of 4 months when his father died of a snakebite. He was crowned formally as an adult in 1921 and ruled continuously from his minority through to his death. During his 8 decades on the throne, Sobhuza led Swaziland through the colonial era under British administration, negotiated the country's full independence in 1968, and then governed independent Swaziland for 14 more years. He had over 70 wives and fathered an estimated 210 children. He maintained traditional Swazi governance structures throughout, including the Tinkundla system of regional councils. At the time of his death in 1982, he had ruled longer than any other contemporary head of state, and his reign holds the modern record for any verified ruler in recent history. His successor, King Mswati III, has continued the dynasty into the present day, with the kingdom officially renamed Eswatini in 2018. Number 9. Bernhard V7, Lord of Lip, reigned from 1429 to 1511, 81 years and 7 months. He inherited the small territory of Lip, a region of what is now Western Germany, at approximately the age of 15 and ruled it continuously through the end of the medieval period and the beginning of the Renaissance. Bernhard V7, known to history as Bernhard the Belligerent, spent most of his reign in periodic conflict with neighboring noble houses, the bishopric of Paderborn, the archbishopric of Cologne, and various imperial princes. Despite the constant warfare, he successfully maintained the territorial integrity of Lip for over 8 decades, expanded its borders, and stabilized its finances. Lip survived as an independent principality for another 4 centuries after Bernhard's death, finally merging into the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia in 1947. Bernhard's reign remains the longest verified European monarchical reign of the medieval and early modern periods. He died at approximately 96 years of age, an extraordinary lifespan for the era. Number 8. Heinrich Shi, Prince of Rios-Grès. Reigned from 1723 to 1877 years total, with some chroniclers extending the count to 79, when including the joint regency period of his minority. Heinrich Shi was the first of the Rios-Grès line to be elevated to the title of imperial prince by Emperor Joseph II in 1778, after over half a century already on the throne. He governed the tiny principality of Rios-Grès, a state of just a few thousand subjects in central Germany, through nearly the entire 18th century. His reign began under the late Holy Roman Empire of Charles V and ended on the cusp of the Napoleonic upheavals that would dismantle the empire entirely. He survived 4 major European wars touching his region: the War of Austrian Succession, the 7 Years' War, the First Coalition War against revolutionary France, and the Second Coalition War. His dynasty continued in microstate form within the German Confederation, then the German Empire until the abolition of all monarchical titles in 1918. Heinrich Shi's reign demonstrates that small states governed cautiously and conservatively often outlasted their larger neighbors. Number 7. William IV, Count of Henneberg-Schlusingen. Reigned from 1480 to 1559, 79 years. One of the longest verified continuous reigns in Central Europe before the modern era. He inherited the county of Henneberg-Schlusingen at the age of 4 after his father's death, and ruled it continuously until his own death at age 83. William IV's reign spanned one of the most turbulent periods in German history: the era of Martin Luther, the Peasants' War of 1524 to 1525, and the wars of the Schmalkaldic League. He converted his territory to Lutheran Protestantism in the 1542, navigating the political consequences of the Schmalkaldic War without losing his county. He outlived 2 wives, fathered 15 children, and managed to keep his small state intact through the religious and political upheavals that destroyed many of his peers. The county of Henneberg eventually fell to the rival House of Wettin in 1583, but during William's lifetime it remained an independent fief of the empire. His reign is one of the longest verified personal rules of the early modern period. Number 6. Christian August, Count Palatine of Sulzbach. Reigned from 1632 to 1708, 76 years total. He inherited the title at the age of just 9 months, immediately after his father was killed at the Battle of Lutzen during the 30 Years' War. His regency lasted 23 years before he took personal control at age 24. During his long reign, Christian August famously converted to Catholicism in 1656, making him one of the few German princes of the period to publicly change confessions during an ongoing era of religious warfare. His decision was significant because it set a precedent for confessional flexibility within the Holy Roman Empire's complex web of small principalities. He stabilized the economy of Sulzbach after the devastation of the 30 Years' War, attracted Jewish merchants and printers to his territory, and established the so-called Sulzbach School of Christian Kabbalah scholarship. His 76-year reign is one of the most cohesive, long-duration periods of cultural development in early modern German history. Without Christian August's longevity, the recovery of his region from the war would have been considerably slower. Number 5. Prince Johann II of Liechtenstein. Reigned from the 12th of November 1858 to the 11th of February 1929. 70 years and 3 months. Johann II was the longest reigning monarch in European history at the time of his death, a record not surpassed until Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom in 2021. Known by his subjects as Johann the Good, the prince became famous across Europe for his philanthropy. He donated enormous sums to hospitals, schools, scientific research, and the Vienna art museums. He was a major patron of Habsburg-era painting and amassed one of the most significant private art collections in the world, much of which remains on display in Vienna and Vaduz today. During his reign, Liechtenstein transitioned from a feudal principality under Habsburg influence to a fully sovereign neutral state. The country narrowly avoided being drawn into the First World War. After the collapse of Austria-Hungary in 1918, Johann II oversaw the reorientation of Liechtenstein toward Switzerland, including the adoption of the Swiss franc as the national currency. His 70-year reign laid the foundation for modern Liechtenstein's status as one of the wealthiest small states in the world. He never married and was succeeded by his brother. Number 4. Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom. Reigned from the 6th of February 1952 to the 8th of September 2022. 70 years and 214 days. The longest reigning monarch in British history, surpassing her great-great-grandmother Queen Victoria in September 2015. Elizabeth ascended the throne at age 25 upon the death of her father, King George V, while she was on royal tour in Kenya. During her reign, she served as head of state under 15 British prime ministers from Winston Churchill to Liz Truss. She was head of state of as many as 32 Commonwealth realms over the course of her reign. She presided over the formal end of the British Empire, the Suez Crisis, the troubles in Northern Ireland, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the rise of the European Union, Britain's departure from the European Union, 2 royal weddings of her son and grandson, the deaths of her sister and her husband, and the COVID-19 pandemic. She undertook the longest royal travel itinerary in history, visiting 121 countries. At the time of her death at age 96, she had become the second longest verified reign monarch in recorded history. Her reign defined the modern role of constitutional monarchy in the post-war Western world. Number 3. King Louis XIV of France. Reigned from May 14, 1643 to the 1st of September, 1715. 72 years and 110 days. The longest verified reign of any major sovereign European monarch in history. Louis became king at age 4 upon the death of his father Louis XIII. After a regency that lasted until 1661, he took personal control of the French state and never relinquished it. Under his rule, France became the dominant continental European power. He centralized administrative authority around the monarchy, built the Palace of Versailles as the seat of government, sponsored a cultural renaissance that produced Molière, Racine, and Lully, and waged a series of major wars including the Franco-Dutch War, the 9 Years' War, and the War of the Spanish Succession. He famously declared himself the Sunday king and adopted the maxim "L'état, qui est moi," I am the state. His 72-year reign saw France's population grow to 20 million people, its army become the largest in Europe, and its court etiquette become the model for monarchies across the continent. By the end of his reign, however, the cost of his wars and the construction of Versailles had nearly bankrupted the state. The financial crisis he passed to his great-grandson Louis V would eventually contribute to the conditions of the French Revolution. Number 2. King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand. also known as Rama IX, reigned from the 9th of June 1946 to the 13th of October 2016, 70 years and 126 days. At the time of his death, he was the longest reigning monarch in modern Asia, and one of the longest reigning in all of human history. Bhumibol ascended the throne at age 18 following the unexplained shooting death of his older brother King Ananda Mahidol in the royal palace. His reign spanned the entire post-war transformation of Thailand from a primarily agricultural economy of around 20 million people to a major Southeast Asian industrial economy of nearly 70 million. He survived approximately 20 military coups during his reign, intervening personally on several occasions to defuse political crises. Most famously in 1973 and 1992. He sponsored thousands of royal development projects in agriculture, water management, and rural infrastructure, becoming arguably the most actively engaged monarch in Southeast Asia. He was also an accomplished jazz saxophonist who composed dozens of pieces and reportedly jammed with Benny Goodman, Stan Getz, and Lionel Hampton during their visits to Thailand. After his death in 2016, Thailand observed a year of official mourning. He was cremated in October 2017 in a state funeral that drew millions of Thai citizens. His son Vajiralongkorn succeeded him as Rama X, and the #1 longest reigning monarch in history. Pepi II of Egypt, 6th dynasty, reigned, according to the traditional historical record by the 3rd century BC Egyptian priest Manetho, from approximately 2278 BC to 2184 BC, a staggering 94 years on the throne. Pepi II became pharaoh at approximately 6 years of age and is recorded as having ruled until his death at around 100 years old. Modern Egyptologists are divided on whether the full 94-year duration is accurate, with some scholars proposing that Manetho conflated separate reigns or used an inflated regnal count. Conservative modern estimates place the reign at 64 years. Still extraordinary by any historical standard. Even the conservative figure would rank Pepi II in the top tier of verified reigns in human history. The longest figure, if accurate, exceeds every other monarch on record. His reign covered the late Old Kingdom period of Egypt. During his lifetime, the centralized authority of the pharaoh slowly eroded as provincial nomarch governors accumulated regional power. His extreme longevity may itself have contributed to dynastic instability. By the end of his reign, his designated heirs had already died of old age, and the royal succession was unclear. Within decades of his death, the Old Kingdom collapsed into the First Intermediate Period, one of the darkest and most chaotic eras of ancient Egyptian history. Whether Pepi II actually ruled for 94 years or only 64, his reign demonstrated a paradox that recurs across every long-reign monarch in this list. Extreme dynastic longevity provides stability for a generation, then often destabilizes the institution itself. No system designed around a single person works well when that person outlives the people who built it. Pepi II's reign is both the longest in history and one of the most consequential examples of why such reigns can be a danger to the kingdoms that produce them. 10 monarchs, centuries of accumulated rule. Each one outlived their wives, their advisors, sometimes their own children. Each one watched their kingdom transform around them while they remained at the center of it. The question every long-reign monarchy eventually faces is whether the ruler is preserving the throne or whether the throne is preserving the ruler.